Let's roll. We do have the questions.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, you guys talk a lot about, the 10X pledge for couples and, success being that duty, obligation, responsibility. How does that sort of work into your definition of how your family works and how your partnership works with Elena? And Elena, obviously the same for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, Lisa, it would be that, this is our game. I mean, we had to pick a game, and that's our game. We consider success to be one of our children. Like, no different than Sabrina or Scarlett, our third child, our first child could be success. I mean, not to say that success is more important than Sabrina or Scarlett, but it's our game, right? It's one of our offspring, and that keeps us together with a game that we can win together, like we would for our kids. Like, we would defend Sabrina, we would defend Scarlett. We want the best for both of them, and we also want the best for this third child called success.
Well, and that's your legacy, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? And no different than the kids. Our dreams as a couple, different than our dreams as individuals before we came to the relationship, is our legacy.
Awesome. So, Elena, how do you view that as being part of the purpose of your sort of the family and the partnership?
Well, I view the purpose of the family and the partnership as something that, it's a good opportunity for something for us to do together. And it is the whole foundation of what makes our relationship so strong, is because we lay out that purpose, that we want to create a very successful marriage. We want to actually be role models for others for success in relationships. So when you hold yourself up to that high of a standard, then you don't get to let yourself off of the hook when the cameras aren't on or when you're in front of people. So behind the scenes, when we are fighting or whatever else, like, I constantly get to go, you know what? My higher purpose, my higher motivation is that we are a successful couple, that we have a greater purpose other than just the two of us. And it's to, spread that other people can have success in their marriages too. So it kind of makes me drop that righteousness or have that need to be right in that moment for the greater good of our relationship and our purpose. So it really helps us to be bigger and better than the two of us alone.
Do you find it easy for that self-accountability to come into play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's just between the two of us, it's easier for us to get into kind of a battle against each other, like I'm right or he's right or he gets to have the control. Or we sink down into this lower kind of game, this fight game with each other. I don't know why couples do that.
Yeah, and the self-accountability, Lisa, can first, it's not going to take place if a person never makes a commitment to saying, hey, I need to hold myself accountable in this relationship to bring 100%, not 50. There was a time when it became popular that, one person would bring 50 and the other person would bring 50 and that would equal 100. I'm like, I don't know what school you guys are going to, but 50 and 50 don't make 100. 50 and 50 makes freaking two people at 50%. It makes nothing.
Absolutely, because if you're not coming in at 100% and allowing that other person off the hook a bit and to slack, what does that say about the partnership, right?
Yeah, and it's my belief that it's probably easier in some ways to go life by yourself, because then I don't have to think about that other person. When I'm driving to the store by myself, I don't have to worry about her.
Sure.
When I'm with her, though, it makes the drive more enjoyable. It certainly makes it more beautiful.
Except when I yell at him for his driving.
And it gives the drive more purpose. Even though I know she's going to do her backseat driving thing, it does give the drive more purpose. So two people really actually makes the journey, to me, easier.
Well, and it seems to me, at least watching the two of you in the public eye, that you sort of get it, like what it takes to continue to provoke each other in a good way. You sustain the attraction, and obviously nobody always knows what goes on behind closed doors, but it seems like there is that constant pushing of each other. And even when I see you, like on a live stream, you're constantly saying, hey, support my wife, follow her stream, see what she's doing.
Right.
And she's doing the same, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And 95% of the time we're doing it right, and we really try to fortify the rightness in the relationship, not the times when I flunk, fail, come up short.
Which, golly,
Dude,
that's hardly ever.
No, but I have a lot of shortcomings, right? I have a lot of shortcomings. I got a big mouth. I say kind of what's ever on my mind. That really bothers her. That's not her style at all. She's much more, would you agree with this?
Definitely.
She's much more conservative,
Delicate.
a little more reserved, considers people's feelings, and I don't. So I'm going to flunk.
And you have a very extremely high standard for the people that run around in your circle, because you have such a high standard for yourself that sometimes it's like, whoo,
Yeah. And so I'm going to
Intense.
flunk 5 or 6% of the time, minimum, maybe 10% of the time, just because of who I am. I think that people need to go in relationships knowing that. Dude, you're not looking for an 100. I can get out of college with, if I get a 98 in college, I'm one of the smartest people in the room. So if I can get a 95 in a relationship, dude, if you're looking for perfect, go be by yourself, okay? And then find out you're about a 70.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you use the word perfect, because I tell people all the time, especially in a relationship, we really need to stop seeking perfection in an imperfect world.
Right.
Because there really is no such thing. I mean, you can have success, you can have greatness, but I think sometimes if you think and you stop and say this is perfect and this is okay and this is good enough, it doesn't really push you to move to the next level.
Yeah, and let me just add to that. I think that underneath the perfectionist is someone that is actually trying to justify being by themselves, or somebody that's not producing anything. So the guy that says, I got to wait till the product's perfect, is actually somebody that's figured out how not to produce anything. You're coming up with a nice way to package, I'm not doing anything, and oh, by the way, I'm by myself because I'm looking for perfection.
Well, it's just a fear. It's a fear of stepping off into,
Right.
into your own greatness, really.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, Elena, I know you guys talk a lot about the whole sort of 13-month chase where Grant didn't give up. What made you hold out for those 13 months?
So what made me hold out and going out on a date with him for 13 months was the fact that, I thought he was arrogant. I thought he was a little rude, and bottom line, he didn't come in the package that I thought my guy was going to show up as 6'2" and green eyes, this very superficial, logical.
But when I showed her the package.
Oh my God. No, so it really, my own thinking of what the guy was gonna look like kind of held me back, as well as the fact that he was so abrasive and so just in your face and so confident. I guess that bothered me. Now it turns me on. I love it. There's so it's interesting because what bothered me before, now I admire and wish I had more of it, but I also wish it, at times it was a little pulled back. So it's interesting because what held me back then eventually turned into something I actually truly admired.
That's wonderful. At what point did that little switch in your brain flip and say, maybe he's not what I envisioned?
The switch happened. It happened about 13 months later. I had written a note of over 100 qualities that I wanted in a man. And
so you were looking for a man.
I was looking for a man, and I had over 100 qualities that I wrote on this little piece of paper. And so what turned the corner for me with him was that he kept kind of always showing up, always being there. He became friends with my friends. And I got to kind of see that he wasn't this guy that I thought he was. I made up a lot about him without actually knowing who he was. And I had a lot of prejudices based on his height or the fact that he had brown eyes. I mean, it's ridiculous because I never considered myself to be a prejudiced person before this, but then he kept showing up and I knew that he liked me and he wasn't going away. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Notting Hill, but Julia Roberts stands in front of the man and she says, I'm just a woman standing in front of the man asking him to love her. And I sob at that point. But I felt like that was Grant. When are you gonna see me? Wake up, chick. I'm your guy. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be loyal. I'm gonna love you. And I want you. And all of a sudden when I got that, I was blown away. Suddenly the 6'2" didn't matter. The green eyes didn't matter. And then I went back to the notes that I had, the 102 notes. He was 100 out of the qualities. The only 2 he wasn't was 6'2" and green eyes. I was like, oh my God. And that's when I turned the corner. I was like, wow.
Lisa, she had dumb stuff on there like no hair on the back. I mean, I don't know if that's dumb actually.
No, I said no hair on the butt or back.
Okay.
And guess what? I have a guy that has no hair on the butt or the back. That meant something to me.
Well, and knowing Grant, he might have waxed it for you, right?
I would have.
He would have, but he
I would have
didn't.
waxed.
But it was great. I had ethically ambitious, has a great relationship with his mother and sisters. And I didn't even know the guy would have sisters, of course, the mother. But anyway, I wanted somebody who didn't drink or do drugs or was monogamous. And, I put really important things on there as well.
Yeah, no, you did. You had a good list.
Yeah, so Grant, you persisted for those 13 months. What was it about her? What qualities did she have that you were like, this is the one?
The qualities that Elena had that afforded me the energy and commitment to continue to follow up is, I think one was, I was disappointed. I was 35. How old was that when we got together? 45?
Yeah, you were
45 years old.
44.
I had met enough women, dated enough women, gone to enough places where women were.
He loves that part of the story.
To know what wasn't my woman. And I was extremely, I was very successful financially in my life, but I was very lonely emotionally, and really wanted the right person. And so I kept, for those many years, 45 years that I was single, I guess from the age of 15 when I started dating, 30 years that I was single, I was looking for the chick. Any guy that says they are not looking for the partner, you ladies out there, they're all looking for the right chick. Trust me, I don't care if they're full on Playboy out banging every freaking day, 3 times a day, James Bond in it. I know, I've been there, okay? Hated every second of it, lonely as can be, trying to please that many women in 1 week, Lisa.
Well, and I think that a lot of times, for them, people doing that, they're filling a void.
Oh, totally empty inside, trying to fill it up, and over knowing, dude, this isn't the right one. And then when I saw Elena, first of all, I had to leave the city I lived in. I lived in San Diego. She just wasn't there. You guys you guys out there, you want to find the right chick, you need to go to the place where she is. And if it's not in your neighborhood, the average male lives within 25 miles of where their mommy lives. Unless you're going to live with your mommy, sleep with your mommy, okay, then you might want to leave mommy. You might have to leave mommy to find your new mommy. And I had to.
That forces you to grow up a bit too and accept some responsibility and be that person, right? That
totally
is worthy.
And if you guys know that out there, I left San Diego where I had it made. I knew everyone. Moved to Los Angeles where I was a little fish in a big pond. And I met Elena the first night I was there. Literally the first night I was there, I met her. Okay, and I had been in the wrong town for too many years, and made a commitment, followed my instincts, and met her the first night. And then I knew right away she was the right chick, and then I just needed to stay with it, Lisa. I don't know how I knew it, but I just knew it. She looked the way I wanted a chick to look too.
Oh dear. So you were a little prejudiced yourself too.
No, she had a look. Anybody that says that they don't have an idea of a look.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody's got a look.
That's true.
But you know what? Here's the thing, and granted, your wife is gorgeous and beautiful on the outside as much as she is on the inside, but I think that people do overlook that, and they overlook those qualities of how sexy and how beautiful can make someone when they have integrity and character, and they have that beautiful part on the inside that really does permeate to the outside. People miss that.
Yeah. And she, you're right, Lisa. I mean, Elena definitely does have the inside part. She's a nice, compassionate, caring, and what people sometimes don't know about her, she's an extremely, aggressive person about wanting to improve her own life and her own lifestyle. and willing to take a lot of personal accountability for where she can improve in her life and what she needs to learn. So I was also looking for that. I was looking for a partner that was also interested in self-development so that the relationship could grow.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because as somebody who coaches in relationships, that is probably the biggest thing I preach to women is more or less having your own life in order, your own happiness, your own goals, and working on yourself in a real way.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
That is true. No,
you need to develop yourself to have the guy you wanted.
Well,
and you talked about that.
Yeah.
Are you still getting heartburn flare?
Oh dear. So, yeah, you know, like one of the things that when I was looking for him and I had finally had it with the guy pool that I was ending up with, and I wrote the list of every quality I wanted in a guy, I had heard so many women do this, and it's so easy as a woman going, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I deserve this, and this, and this. Well, after I wrote my list, I was like, oh my God, this is like, how am I ever gonna get this guy? I mean, like really, do I expect that I'm gonna get this? And then I really looked at the list and said, well, who do I have to be?
Yeah,
Who is this guy gonna want? And this guy's gonna want a woman who is powerful, who can sustain her own finances, who's ethical with money, with, you know, monogamous, and not hanging out in clubs and getting drunk and embarrassing herself and whatever. I wrote all those things and I was like, this is the person I have to be. Now, if I flunk in this area, how do I improve that? How do I get this little statistic up? So that when I do find that guy, I will be all these, he'll be like, dang, that's my list.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with as busy as you guys are, you know, running the businesses, TV shows, all of that, how often are you guys setting aside a time for each other, and how do you make it a priority in your relationship to really set that aside?
Well, Lisa, we spend, our answers to this, we talked about this before the show, and how much time we spend together, just me and her, was a completely different answer. I'm like, well, we do that every day, dude. Every day I wake up with you. I go to sleep with you. We try to watch at least one Netflix thing a night before we go crash out. That's time with you. And she's like, yeah, but that's not really time together. I'm like, we spend Sundays together going over just the future. We do a movie Saturdays. We do one dinner a week. I mean, how much, you know, that's a lot of time to me. As long as we're actually acknowledging that time, you know, that is our time.
The only way that I differed in that question was that we're at the point in our relationship.
She travels with me constantly.
That's what I was saying, that we are at a point now where we spend so much time together, and I'm so fortunate that he's let me into his world in business and I can help him, that I'm with him traveling, I'm with him in the office. I spend so much time that I'm not having this hunger or this need to have alone time. That's the only reason I differed. Yeah, we do watch our Netflix and we have our Sunday movie, and that's a real luxury, but I don't feel like
she wants to go to Lisa. She wants to go to every meeting with me. I'm like,
do.
look, you cannot go to this meeting. This is a boys' meeting. She's like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, look, they're not gonna understand why you're here. And then after I do the meeting, then the guy comes up to me and says, dude, why didn't you bring your wife? We would have closed this deal if she was here.
Yeah, but you know what, though? That's an amazing thing that she's hungry for the information, hungry for the knowledge.
No, she's amazing. Elena is amazing.
And he's amazing for actually entrusting me with that I won't embarrass him or make him look bad, or you know what I mean?
The people at Huffington Post are going to hate this. They're going to be like, these people are gagged out couple. There's no way it really is that good.
Well, it is really good, but we are both very intense and we both have very strong points of view, and we do clash at times, and there's definitely people around us that can attest to that. They've seen the moments where they're like scared.
Yeah.
But we handle it as quickly as possible, and the moment it's handled, it's done. We're back into the future again. We're not like looking back like, oh, woe is me, or oh, that moment, or oh, you hurt my feelings. That moment is gone, and because of the purpose that we were saying earlier, because of our purpose, we're always going into the future together as a team. So as any teammate, you can have clash of the titans and still be okay, as long as you have the trust. You're giving me a symbol.
She's going on
He's
too
going
long,
on
dude.
too long.
She's like the movie that never ends.
Well, and you know what? She's absolutely right. You can't look back because you're not going that way at all.
Yeah, I think most people are going in reverse, though. You
Well,
know?
and that's the whole thing. If you spend so much time in the past in
Yeah.
any part of your life, you're never going to see that future vision ever.
Yeah, yeah. Windshields are like 7 feet wide for a reason.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So, what is it about Grant Elena and Elena Grant that makes you better? Like, what is it that thing about them that brings out the best part of you?
The thing that Grant does that brings out the best part of me is that his drive forward and his wanting to make a difference for the better, like I get sucked into that, and he's always motivating me and challenging me to have this drive to always be doing something, and he helps grow that in me, and he's made me so much more knowledgeable in so many areas, especially business and life, and how to confront people and talk to people, that I really, honestly, I wish you would have found me 10 years earlier. Jeez. What about you?
The thing that I find most interesting about Elena is, her willingness.
No, how do I make you better?
Oh, how do you make me better? Is that the question?
That was the question.
I thought it was the best quality I see in her.
Oh,
what were
maybe
you
it
asking?
was.
Yeah, like what is that quality in her that brings out the best in you, that makes you better?
She is. Look, she came to me the other day and said, "Look, when are we going to make $1 billion?"
No.
No, this is true.
I said you are going to make $1 billion.
And I'm like, dude, you can't put that kind of pressure on a
You
guy.
are.
Where's my money?
Show me my money. Show me my money. She's
It
like,
was not like that,
and I'm
Lisa.
like,
I
man,
said
my
you
God,
were
dude.
going to make $1 billion because
But let
I
me just tell you,
believe in him.
Let me tell you, I think this is kind of a funny tongue-in-cheek thing, but women, ladies out there, you guys need to push your men, man. We live in a society now where people are not pushing one another enough. And Elena does push me. She pushes me, and the money thing was a bit of a joke, but she's like, she knows what I'm capable of doing, and she's like, why not do that? And I love that about her, and she's an unbelievable mother. She takes such good care of the kids, and she's so affirmative of them. And the one thing that I would tell you, Lisa, that I haven't told her probably in a long time, is when Elena thanks me for the life that we've created, and particularly that I've created really for us. When she thanks me, dude, it just kills me. Like,
Thank
it's like,
you. I probably don't thank you enough, but I should, because you're amazing.
That's the killer right there for
Yeah.
me. It's like just having a thanks.
And you know what? It's amazing you say that, because that's one of the points I drive home to women, especially, all the time. And I say, when a man brings you flowers or he buys you a piece of jewelry to show you appreciation, I said, in reverse, a simple "I appreciate you" or "thank you" is the exact same thing to a man.
Totally,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So thinking back over the course of, growing this business and this family together, what has been your hardest time as a couple?
You want to take that?
The hardest time that we had, I would say, was, well, right after we got together, she broke up with me. She left. She was bailing on me because she was having because she was delusional, and then everybody's delusional early on in the relationships. In the middle of the relationship, somewhere in that relationship, one of the partners gets a little weird. It seems to me.
I was weird back then, I have to admit. So.
And so that was hard on me. I was like, oh my God, dude, I thought I had this deal done. I thought it was like a deal to me, right? It was like acquiring a good customer or getting a book deal.
I'm a deal.
I mean, she is a deal.
I'm a package deal.
She's part of the package,
Yeah.
man. I know some people are gonna I hate guys that talk like that, but for me, she makes my life full, right? So, that was very difficult for me. And the other time is 2009 when the economy collapsed. I really got to meet her because I went to her, Lisa, and said, look, we cannot spend any money on anything for any reason under any conditions. And she looked at me and says, done. And I never had to bring it up again. That was an extremely difficult time for me because I didn't know how long it was going to go or how bad it was going to get.
Well, that's amazing of you, Elena, to sort of not really question it and just say, all right, you're driving this ship and, I'm going to co-captain and we're going to do this together.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even a remote thought. I mean, everything that he's been able to provide us is a real testament to his work, and the whole unit that we are is we will do whatever it takes to make success for our family, our society, for our community. So, I mean, if we have to cut back, I'm not in this for like some social status or how someone sees me. I don't care. I care about.
Yeah, you do. You care.
I
don't,
do not.
Don't lie. You
I
care.
care for myself. I like to wear clothes that I like.
Yeah, but I mean, when it comes,
don't need approval
push
from
comes
my
to
friends.
shove,
Push comes to shove. If I needed to go work as a janitor or
Yeah.
whatever, a garbage pickup
she
tomorrow,
ain't gonna be
yes,
a janitor,
I would.
at least that's
well,
some bullshit.
I won't because
She gonna
you
get me to be the
won't
janitor.
let us. But I would if it came down to it and I needed to.
Yeah.
You bet your bottom dollar.
Something tells me she absolutely would.
That's right, Lisa. I would.
So, with
I have no shame.
the strength that you guys have in all that you do, how do you think that sets an example for you kids? What do you think is your kids? And what do you think is the best thing you do for your kids?
The best thing I do for my kids is I've always treated them like they're giant beings in little bodies. So I talk to them without putting adult problems on in their universe, because adult problems should be between myself and my husband or whoever. But I explain everything to them and have since the moment they were born, whether people looked at me like I was crazy or not, because I'm telling an infant, look, you need to sleep now, because when mom sleeps better at night, I'm more patient with you and this thing can work out better. And I just told them, I mean, literally things like that, and I have done that from the moment they were born, and I'll tell you, they get a lot more than you think they do, and they're willing to work with you
They get
and
the
help you.
information, you're saying.
Yes, they
Yeah,
get
yeah.
the information, they work with you, they help you, and I've never, one of the things I'm really proud of is, I was raised differently. I was hit as a kid. That was just common. I just don't believe in that. So my kids have never had to experience fear.
She still likes to be spanked every once in a
Oh,
while.
shut up.
That's a good thing, though.
I just don't believe in hurting a kid to get them to be into submission, to do what you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
I don't believe in controlling kids with that.
And she's
Physicalness,
an
it's
unbelievable
not fair.
mother, Lisa. She's a great mother. I'm a different parent. Like, what I've done with the kids is I teach them that they can do anything. I teach them to talk to everybody, that there should, talk to strangers, they're good for you, that strangers have everything you want.
It's my job to make the environment safe so they're not talking to strangers alone and
Yeah.
unsupervised.
And my job, I teach them how to be dangerous. Elena always says, you know what, you're a great father, you're a terrible mother, which is
Horrible
probably
mother.
true.
When I realized that he was an amazing father but a horrible mother, like my life became easy because he has no womanly, motherly common sense for things.
But like last night, like the elevator got stuck in our building, and somebody that's working with us on the weekends said, got all traumatic about the elevator. Oh my God, I'm like, hey, the kids don't need to hear that. The kids don't need to hear about your claustrophobia. This wasn't a height, the elevator, the whole world becomes scary. So my job as a parent, I believe, is to make the environment around my kids safe, and number two, give them the courage to go out and really, really be themselves in that environment.
And I think it's very obvious. And when I reached out to you guys for this interview, one of the things that I said in particular that I noticed about your children is you were doing a Periscope one day, Grant, and your daughter walked in the room and wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
And you said, they want to know what your name is. And she said, hi, my name is Scarlett, and I can be anything I want.
Yeah.
My heart melted, and I thought, what a self-aware, amazing child.
Our kids do homework every day. They're required 7 days a week to do homework. That's Elena, okay? So I'm not gonna do the 5-day deal, the 4-day deal. I mean, we have schools, we got our kids in schools right now, they might average 3 days or 4 days. They take off for everything. But if you look at the Chinese, the Taiwanese, the Japanese, these kids are in school 7 days a week. They're trying to get an edge up. And here in America, kids are going to school, learning nothing, getting out knowing nothing. And I just don't want to do that to my kids.
And I just read an article recently, too. In Asia, they don't have, in a lot of these schools, there's no janitors. These kids sweep the halls, and they teach these kids, this is where you learn and you take care of it.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
take responsibility for your environment. That's another the way we raise our children is they're on a star board and a reward system. So they get stars for picking up after themselves, reading, doing their homework, this. They collect enough stars, they can buy their own clothes, with the stars, toys, whatever. And then once they have those, they're theirs. If they want to break a toy, they're not going to hear me yelling, you broke the toy. Why? It's not mine anymore. It's theirs. If they want to break it or they earned it, they paid for it with their stars, and it's theirs. So they have a very sense of pride
Yeah.
with their stuff, with their environment, with with the things that they've earned. So they feel like they own things, where a lot of parents might say, oh, you have to share this, you have to do that, you have to. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent.
Yeah,
but,
you are.
So when you guys do get to a point when it, whether it's business or the family, when you do disagree, and I've heard you guys talk a little bit about this before, how do you have a productive fight that you come out of it on the other side, really seeing how the other one, thinks or feels about it and coming to some sort of resolution?
Well, I really take responsibility for that. He's usually very good, and I'll give this to you. He's very good about apologizing and saying sorry, probably better than I am. But what I'm responsible for is when we're really going to get down to business and have a productive fight and not just a mean fight with each other, because those are obviously not productive, I make sure we're both well rested and well fed before we have the fight or the productive fight. And then we each have the intention and agreement before going in. Do you want to solve this problem?
Yeah.
Do you? Yes, I do. Now, here it is, and how can we come to an agreement and work it out so we're both happy? But the ultimate purpose has to be, how can we solve this and make it work? If you have you're wrong, you did this, you're not going to get anywhere, and it's going to lead into that mean thing again.
And how can we solve this problem and not do this one again and do something else? I mean, one of the things we try to do is we try to have new problems. I don't want to keep having the same
fights, the same disagreements.
It's just
the same,
ridiculous, dude. If you're having the same problems over and over, it's because you're not resolving it.
Well, and it just leads to resentment in the relationship.
Yeah, so we go into that argument. You're gonna have disagreements with yourself. Add another person, and you just doubled. So to think that you're not, so we just go into it like, hey, rational. Try to be logical, not emotional. What's the greatest good? What's the best outcome for this? We got a saying around my house: who's on second? Which means who's in scoring position? Who can get pushed around the bases? Forget this little bullshit that we're talking about constantly. Most people are in dugouts on opposite sides of the field when they should be on the same field trying to get the other person around second to score.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is, it's a win as a unit, as a couple, as a family when you're pushing each other.
Right.
So one of the things that was, I was watching one of the broadcasts of the G&E show, and by the way, I downloaded the MyGCTV app when I saw it come up on Facebook the other day. And I was like, bam, Uncle G in my pocket.
Awesome.
I was like, that was awesome. So one of the things you said when you guys were going back and forth one day was stay analytical and not emotional in your relationships. How come you think that is important, Grant? And Elena, do you agree with that?
Well, I think the whole, I went through this whole period in my life from 35 to probably 48, where the whole thing was like, oh, have your feelings, get in touch with yourself, the child within, all that stuff.
That whole
Dude,
psychological,
that has damaged
world
so many millions of people.
that has that.
Like, I know so many guys that got stuck in this cycle of touching their inner child and finding the young boy. I'm like, but what happened to you when dude, get rational, okay?
Get on purpose. Get on point.
Let me finish, okay?
Yes.
Get rational. People are spending so much time in their emotional, it's misleading them to respond to their feelings rather than the necessities of life. Life just has some necessities, and I got to eat every day. I got to take care of the kids. I need to take care of my marriage. It's not about emotional. It's not that's after the first 3 or 4 or 5 dates, maybe the first 3 months. Sooner or later, you're going to be married 20 years or not. You're going to be in the deal. It's going to be, her body's going to get older. Mine's going to get older. What are we going to do to take care of each other long term when things change? You're not going to be 20 forever, then it's going to be 30, then 50. So to me, let's make some good analytical decisions so that we can have a long, great, prosperous, fun time together.
Right, and for me, emotional is what is that? So what? I'm sad one day. Is that going to stop me? No, emotions are when people are led by their emotions, they tend to be wishy-washy or go with however they're feeling.
Yeah.
And that doesn't get the job done. What gets the job done is having your purpose and going for it regardless.
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
if you want to use your emotions as a gauge, hey, I'm not feeling happy right now. Why? Do I need to have some wins in an area? And then set out, okay, you know what, I need to have some wins as a mother. I need to have some wins as a wife. What can I do? How can I make myself do that? Let me plan something special for him. Let me make him happy. Oh, wow, baby. And boom, I have a win. Now I feel happier in that area. So I think really the whole emotional thing is just, if you're going to use it as a gauge to how you can like make yourself better, you know, because you should be happy. If you're not happy, then do
But
something
if you have a purpose,
analytically to make it better.
if you have a purpose, you're going to be happy. That we went and watched the movie Everest this weekend. It was awful, by the way.
Boring.
And the lead in it, Josh Brolin, said, you know, when I'm home, I'm depressed, and when I'm on the mountain, I can't
this
get enough
black
of it.
cloud.
I'm like, because you got a purpose when you're on the mountain, and when you're home, you don't. So that's kind of the simplicity of it.
Yeah, and it's about having, I don't like the word balance, but it is about having happiness in more areas, right?
Doing this over here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Elena, I loved when I was watching another episode you guys did, and you talked about, you talked a little bit about this earlier, about coming up with your list and your whole theory of writing that list of your ideal partner. And then you were saying, right next to that, how do you measure up in those categories? So did you literally write out 100 things?
It was pretty close to it. As a matter of fact, I want to get that little piece of paper framed. I actually rolled it up. It was in such tiny letter. I rolled it up and put it on a chain in my necklace. So yeah, it was pretty close to 100 things. And then I looked at who I had to become or be, or where do I need to improve. And then I literally worked on those areas.
I think that's amazing. And I think more people, when they write lists, should write them that way with that 2-column theory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think it's so easy to say, well, I want this and I want that. And well, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to, put in energy and time and effort to improve?
Well, and I think people, when they think about writing that secondary list, they see it as settling and not so much compromising. And that's what I tell people all the time. That's great if you want a certain type of lifestyle and, he has to be in a certain zip code or a certain height and all these things. But what do you bring to the table?
Yeah,
That's right.
Are you looking for a free ride here, or are you looking to be a true partner with somebody and, again, have that purpose to, go through life and get better?
That's true, because the guy that, if you're looking for a free ride or some wealthy guy that's just going to take care of you, chances are the guy that isn't looking for a girl that he has to take care of that's never going to be satisfied until he provides this and this and this, and it's always like, And chances are he's going to want a companion, someone who stimulates him mentally and who is that person? What is your thing? What do you have going on? What
And if
what
he
do you
doesn't
bring
want
to
that,
the table?
you got to consider that as well. I mean, I know people that make bigger lists to go to the grocery store than they do for what they want in their life. I'm like, you go on vacation. I know women that would like, I'm going here and I'm going here and I'm going here. Dude, what do you want? I don't know. Well, you know more about what you want to see in Spain than you want to see in the guy that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, or the girl, or whatever the situation is. So, I would just say make a list. What do you want on it, and what are you willing to give up on your list that is one of your deficits right now to get that thing?
So if you want this guy, but you're dating these mediocre guys that are not the guy, but you just want to go out to dinner and have entertainment or whatever.
I just want someone I love.
Maybe he's.
I just want
you're
someone
not going
that
to
loves
find him
me.
when you're doing that. Maybe give that up. Maybe
and also you ladies out there, let me just say this, okay? You guys should look for men that have money. I don't know why you guys why you guys make it acceptable, why ladies make it acceptable to find men that cannot financially take care of themselves. If a guy can't take care of himself, how the hell is he going to take care of you and 2 kids? You tell me. Somebody please explain that to me. Somebody accused Elena of being a gold digger. I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? By the way, she's not. But number 2, what's wrong with that if she is looking for the oil well, the gold, the platinum, the diamonds, the quality lifestyle? What would be wrong with that? except that society has somehow made that
Well,
wrong.
I'll tell
She's
you-
willing to do her part. So
Yeah. What would make that wrong is
Yeah.
if the woman was not in exchange for that. If they
Absolutely.
felt entitled to that rather
Yeah.
than I'm going to be the best mother, the best wife, I'm going to
Yeah,
cook
yeah.
them a meal or
Well,
whatever,
I'm
however
assuming
the
that-
exchange
I'm assuming
is.
good, decent people are reading this. So you ladies out there that are willing to give up a life of, oh, I don't care if he's got money. Well, that's just stupid. No offense to anybody. That is freaking stupid for you, stupid for your kids, for their parents. That's a guy that clearly does not understand what it takes to take care of himself, much less a family.
So when you have this kind of conversation, I don't know if you're having these kinds of conversations with your daughters now or what you plan to say to them in the future, you know.
I just say, Lisa, I just tell my kids, my little girls, they're 6 and 4 right now. I'm like, you just find somebody like Papa and you'll be all right.
They would be all right.
They would be.
You know, I'm ethical.
But they're gonna
I
be
tell the truth.
self-sustaining
I'm
as well.
transparent. I don't lie. If I get audited by the IRS, I tell everybody. Like I have clean hands. I'm not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes. I go back and clean up my mistakes. They're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway. It's my belief that the parents can only do so much to affect the direction of a child's life. Like my mom could have done nothing to change or alter some of the decisions I would make later. But, you know, I try to be a good example anyway.
Well, we can't expect as parents to have complete control. We have to do our best and instill all of those things in our children,
Yeah.
you know, to the best of our ability. And, you know, eventually at some point, a little bit of socialization comes into play and we just have to, you know that we did our best. And sometimes we have to send them out the door not really knowing what's going to happen.
That's right.
So what would you say, and I know, Grant, you just touched on this about, you know, your piece of advice when you're talking to people who are single and especially women, what they're looking for. But, and Elena, I'd like for you to comment on this as well, you know, sort of something you would say, one piece of advice for single people and probably your one solid piece of advice for people that are married on, you know, obviously dating, looking to get into that long-term relationship, but how to keep it going when you're married.
For single guys, look, you know, you need to go where good women are. You got to go where quality women hang out. They're typically they're not in strip joints. I've been in 2 strip joints my whole life. I was there a total of maybe 6 minutes combined trips. A couple buddies wanted to go. I just don't go to them. Elena wasn't in strip joints. She wasn't in clubs, you know. She was earlier in her life, but not by the time when she was ready for something. She was not there. So that's what I would do. I would go where quality people go, you know, that fit your list. Unless that's not what you're looking for, which is, that's fine too. You guys got to go get whatever you want to get. So I would just say, for the single guy, go where quality women are. And be the quality person you want to attract in a woman. And number 2, once you find what you want, persist until you get it. Okay, don't settle for less than that. Just persist. She'll change her mind. And the third thing is for people that are married, you know, look, it's not hard work. Okay, it's hard work being by yourself all the time. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier making it work than I would not say marriage is hard work. I would say it's a lot of work finding the right person. It's easier working it out with the right person.
And I love how only you can make stalking look cool.
Yeah, stalking.
Oh, yeah. It's not stalking if it works, I always say.
Yeah, that's his line.
You guys, when you find the right chick, if you freaking just keep following up, if it works, it's not stalking.
And Elena, what would you say to that about,
Well,
you know?
The singles thing, I mean, I really can't say it any better than Grant did. For relationships or partners, you know, again, it's if once you can sit down with each other, get on the same page, get your purpose as a couple, and then work on that branding, that whatever you want to call it, that business model, that partner model, and work out how you're going to do that and strive to do that, or how we're going to work things out when we get in arguments, or how this, or what is our purpose for the relationship. Get on the same page and then work towards the goal. And, you know, I think You know, if you start doing things like that, you're definitely headed in a good, strong, stable direction.
That's beautiful. Okay, I got one last question for you guys. What is, if you had to say it in one word, the number one quality if you were a single person looking for somebody, what is that one quality that you would absolutely require when you're looking for a husband or a wife?
There's so many. I mean,
I know what mine is. Ethical for me.
I was
going to
say ethical.
You know,
ethically ambitious. Ethically ambitious.
Ethical, just whatever ethical is. Ethical.
Yeah.
Exchange,
Monogamous,
ethical,
yes.
you know.
Ethical finances, ethical with children, ethical with
But
relationships.
if you're ethical, ethical is not an emotional state of mind, you know?
No, it's a way of being.
It's a way of being.
It's either right or it's wrong.
And
It's
you
not.
know.
It's right or wrong. You can
And
put it
you-
on a piece of paper. Anything ethical can be put on a piece of paper, and you're going to find out whether it was right or wrong.
You need to put that on a t-shirt with one of those arrows that says, I'm with ethically ambitious.
Yeah, I like that.
With the arrow. Yes.
I'm an ethical person.
You are.
All right. Well, this has been beautiful. I want to thank you guys again for sharing a little bit of your day with me. I appreciate that. And just have a great rest of the day. And, really appreciate this. you
Lisa,
guys.
enjoy your app, okay? Let me write a review on it, okay?
I sure will.
All right. Hey, love you, Lisa.
Yeah,
Thanks a
that
lot.
was great. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Okay, you too.